Hello everyone, and I don't know if you can see it, but ignore it that this shelf has nothing on it. I just got this shelf maybe a month ago and it will eventually be filled, but I do not have enough books to fill it right now. But this bookshelf is completely full. I know you guys can't see all of it, but books are stacked all in this bookshelf. So today I am going to be talking about A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. It's the third book of the series. If you have not read it, do not watch this video because this is just going to be full of spoilers. I am going to say really quick, if you have not read this series or have not read this book of the series, highly suggest it. It can be intimidating because the books are pretty big in the series, but I'm telling you, it won't seem like it. You will fly through it, and even though it's high fantasy and that could also be intimidating to some people, it's not hard to understand. It flows very easily. It's very entertaining, so I would highly suggest this series and this book if you have not read them yet. Once you have read this book, come back and watch this video, but the spoilers are starting now. So I'm going to be starting the spoilers now, so if you have not read this book, get off now. So how I did this is I took notes on my phone throughout me reading this, and I just wrote down things that I thought were interesting and important. I watched some reviews over this book, and what people talked about were all very different. I feel like that plays into the fact that we've read two of these other books and people have different characters they're attached to. Like someone I watch on BookTube really likes Lucian, so she pointed out a lot of things about Lucian, which I didn't point out all those things because he's not like my favorite character. Like, I love him, but he isn't my favorite character like he is to her. And then lots of people pointed out a lot of things about Rhys and Feyre, which is more what I pointed out. So the reviews are really all different because there's so many things that happen that people talk about what's important to them, and I think what plays into that again is the characters that they're mostly attached to. So the first thing I wrote down was Lucian and Feyre's friendship, and I thought this was really interesting dynamic because she is playing the spring court, and Lucian kind of knew it, but they still worked together because I think they were both realizing that Tamlin was crazy, and I think Lucian felt really bad about the way Feyre was treated at the spring court, and I found their friendship to be a very interesting situation. I'm not sure how to say her name. Ethan, I'm not sure, but the one annoying lady, I just wrote down that she literally annoys everyone. I find her character so annoying, but it does have an important part of the story. I feel like the reason she's included is because Tamlin isn't 100% evil. He just makes bad decisions, and we kind of needed that evil character that was just out for herself, and that was the part that she played. The part where Feyre pretended to get with Lucian and purposely made Tamlin see it, I was like so shocked by that. I thought that part was crazy, and I had no idea what she was doing. I thought she was starting to lose it. I had no idea what she was doing, but then later we find out that she was kind of trying to tear the spring court down and get them to fight, and I still don't 100% get the point in this. I guess it was because they were working with Hybern, I'm not really sure how to say it, but I don't know, that part was kind of pointless. I kind of felt like she should be there just trying to find out information, and as we learned it later, kind of came back to bite her in the butt because Spring Court was not 100% on Hybern's side, but I do kind of get it because, I mean, they pretty much screwed Feyre over, so I do understand why she was angry and felt the need to kind of mess with Tamlin and tear down his court. And then when Lucian and Feyre went back to the night court together, I was so happy because Lucian deserves so much better than the spring court, and I really want him and Elain to be together, and it was just really sweet that he went with, and oh, that part made me so happy. I loved the part where Cassian and Ezreal saved Feyre and Lucian from Lucian's brothers. I was just like so excited they showed up. I kind of felt like they might drag out Farah being away from the Night Court, and I really didn't want that to happen. I thought like we wouldn't get to see the other characters until like 100 pages left in the book, and I was really disappointed because I really love all the Night Court characters, so I was really excited when I was like 100 pages in or something and they already showed up and Farah was already getting taken back to her family, the Night Court. And yeah, I was just really happy when they showed up because I was really fearful that we wouldn't get to see the Night Court until the end of the book and that she would not be able to get back to them. Oh my gosh, and then when Rhys and Farah saw each other for the first time in months, that made me so happy. And yeah, it was just great. Like, there's not much to say about it. It was just probably one of the most amazing moments of the whole book. Like, I was so happy, and like I said, I was so scared that they wouldn't get to see each other until like the last 100 pages, 50 pages. So I was so happy they got to see each other early on in the book, and I got to see moments of them being together. I really wasn't happy when Farah got back to the Night Court and how her sisters treated her. I thought it was really unfair because this isn't what she wanted to happen at all. It wasn't her fault. It wasn't anyone in the Night Court's fault, and they're trying their best to make Nesta and Elain feel heard and trying to help them, and they were just rude, and it made me really mad, and they really hurt Farah. And I know that she did not want this to happen to them, and they were just really rude. And also another thing is, if I got turned into Fae, I would not be upset about it, and that's just a personal thing because I'm really adventurous and I would love to have all those powers and get to live this whole new life. But I understand that lots of people don't like change, so I guess I understand why they were upset. But for me, I couldn't wrap my head around being upset about being immortal and getting to live forever and having powers. Like, I don't really understand how that could be that depressing, but again, I am an adventurous, so I love new things. So as I was watching reviews, no one pointed this out, and I feel like it wasn't that big of a deal, but to me I thought this was a really sweet moment and it was really cool. I don't remember the exact circumstances. This was earlier on in the book, but there was a part where there was only one seat left at the table, and it was the head of the table or something like that. And Lucien basically asked Rhys, like, hey, shouldn't you sit at the end of the table? Like, I don't want to take your place. Like, you're the High Lord, and you need to sit the head of the table, and like, you're way higher position than me. I shouldn't be sitting at the head of the table. And Rhys was like, I don't care where you sit, like, what are you talking about? And I thought it was a really sweet moment because like Lucien's been so controlled by Tamlin, and Tamlin's just like takes his High Lord position to the extreme, and it was really sweet to see Lucien see a new dynamic where High Lords don't think they're way above everyone else, and just like every opportunity to show that they have a higher position they take. And Rhys is not like that, and I think it was really sweet for Lucien to see someone that doesn't think they're better just because they're a High Lord. And like, I don't know, that moment was really cool to me, and no one else pointed it out of all the reviews I watched, but I thought that moment was a really big character development moment for Lucien to realize that not everyone sticks their nose up in the air just because they're a High Lord. And then when Farah decided to involve the Bone Carver in the war, I was really confused because, you know, the Bone Carver doesn't seem like the first person that would be like, oh yeah, I'll help you. But in the end, it obviously worked out, but I was just really shocked when it happened. Like, where is she planning to go? Like, it's not like her and the Bone Carver are like best buddies that are doing favors for each other all the time. So I was really shocked when she came to that conclusion to do that. And then the part where they found out Elain was a seer, I was so happy because everyone thought she was going crazy, and I was really worried that that's where this was going to go, that she was just losing her mind. I was really happy she wasn't losing her mind, and I was really happy that she got a cool power like that from the Cauldron. So I really liked when Nesta decided she was going to go to the meeting where they were having like all of the High Lords and stuff. Thought it was really cool that like she went from hating the Night Court to wanting to help in the war. So I thought that was really cool, and it was a big character growth for her, and that moment just was so cool that she was willing to help in any way she could. And the meeting. The meeting was so intense. And when Tamlin showed up, I'm like, what is he doing here? And he basically just went there to judge Farah for leaving him for another guy, which it just made me so mad. All the things he said, I'm not going to say any of them, but they were really, really terrible things, and it was just really upsetting, but at the same time it was really kept me on the edge of my seat to see what he would say next, what Farah would say next, and that whole meeting just kept me on the edge of my seat. It was so intense. Just thinking about it, like, literally, it's just... So I really liked the small touch of diversity with the High Lord Helion, and I'm not sure if that's how you say his name, and also Mor. They both talked about them being somewhat bisexual. Helion was obviously bisexual. Mor, it was kind of like, I'm not really sure if, I think it was bisexuality that they were implying that she had, because she said she would get with both, but she kind of leaned more towards females. I was a little confused, like, if that would be considered bisexual. I believe it would, just because she'll still also get with males, but she definitely made it clear she leans towards females more, and I thought that touch was really nice to see in this book, just because we haven't seen any kinds of that representation in any of the Court and Thorns and Roses books, so it was really nice with the last book we finally got some diversity there. A lot of stuff happened in the war, but oh my gosh, when I thought Rhys was gonna die, I was freaking out, and I kind of knew deep down that he wasn't going to. One thing I heard, that a Court of Frost and Starlight, it was Farah and Rhys's perspectives. I knew that he couldn't die, but then I'm like, what if I heard that wrong? What if that's not actually what that book is? But I was under the impression that that's what was in that book, so I knew it was kind of impossible for Rhys to die, but it just seemed like there was no way that he was going to live. And I also kind of knew it wasn't going to happen, because Sarah J. Maas, I've realized, likes to do that, where she scares the living crap out of you at the end of the book, makes you think something really bad's going to happen, and then it doesn't. But I really thought there was no way, and then Tamlin came and saved the day, and I'm like, oh my gosh, he's been a terrible character, why is he being good for once? And I was like at school, and I would have started crying, but because I was at school, I really tried not to, and I didn't. And like literally I read through those few pages just because I knew he couldn't die, but I was so scared he was going to, and I was like reading so fast. I was like skimming stuff to find out what happened. Like that was intense, and that made me so nervous. It almost made me more nervous than when we thought in the first book that Farah was gonna die. Let's just talk about Nesta and Elaine's character growth was so good in this book. At the beginning of the book, Elaine wouldn't even talk. Nesta was just pissed off at everyone. And then by the end of the book, Elaine stabbed the king, and then Nesta finished the job and killed him, and like the character growth. And Nesta pretty much made the whole war, and like if we wouldn't have had her, like I don't even know what would have happened. Like she basically did everyone's dirty work. Like the character development was insane. So I thought that was really cool, but then it really sucked because at the end of the book, Nesta just went back to being her grumpy old self, which I don't really understand why. She got like her revenge, but I was really happy with Elaine, and she was finally being happy with her life. I literally almost started crying when she's like, I want to start a garden. The world needs more gardens. And that was just so sweet, because we know from past books that Elaine really loves gardens, and it was really cool to see that she is going to start trying to enjoy her life now as Fae, and she's adjusting. And yeah, I'm really happy, and I'm really excited to see where her and Lucien's relationship goes, and I'm really excited to see where Nesta and Cassian's relationship goes from here. Yeah, I'm just really happy about both of them. It really sucks that Nesta is being a butt right now after all that. I don't know why, but I feel like in the next book it'll be explained, and then it'll make sense why she's acting the way she is. I think she's probably just in shock from everything that happened in the war. One last thing, this kind of happened throughout the book, and I just saved it until the end. The parts of Farah being high lady and everyone being so shocked that there's no such thing as a high lady, I thought was really cool and empowering. The little bit of feminism in this book is really nice touch. It wasn't way overdone. It was just like the right amount to kind of push an issue slightly, like subtly, that, you know, females are just as good as males and they're equal and they should be equal, and I thought it was really nice. My cats are being crazy right now. But yeah, I really liked that small touch in there when Farah was like, yes, I'm a high lady, what are you all gonna do about it? I really loved all that. I thought that was really awesome and badass. But that was all the notes I had on this book. I cannot wait for the next one to come out. I am currently reading A Court of Frost and Starlight, which is the companion book, and this does not have as high of ratings as these books. I feel like people normally don't care for companions as much, and I do have a theory on that. I feel like it's because, like, say at the end of this book, everyone's happy, everything's great, we get a happy ending, and then in companion lots of the time they talk about after the happy ending, the problems the characters are still having. And I feel like us bookworms struggle with it not just being a happy ending, and they're still having struggles, and sometimes it's just upsetting to hear about their little struggles because they're just supposed to always be happy, which isn't realistic. But I feel like us book dragons want it to just be perfect and happy, and want our characters to just live their best life, and hearing about their little struggles can be hard. And there isn't some huge plot thing going on, it's just them dealing with little struggles. I feel like that's what companions are about a lot, and I feel like we struggle with it just because we wanted a happy ending. However, so far I am enjoying this, and I hope I keep enjoying it. And yeah, I just can't wait for like the next official book to come out. I've looked it up and there's not like a release date, but there is supposed to be another book. And in this book, there is like a chapter from the next book, and I'm definitely going to read that 100%. I'm so excited to read that because like I said, I'm so excited for the next book. I cannot wait for the next book to come out. Okay, so that is going to be it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!